There is a lot of controversy regarding the COVID-19 vaccine, and many patients are scared and confused. They feel pressure to take the vaccine. But what is the truth when it comes to COVID-19 vaccine and the autoimmune diseases? A vaccine is like a training program for this security system, and it shows your body a harmless, wanted poster of a specific germ to learn how to recognize it and fight it off without ever getting sick. But some vaccines have an extra helper, which we call an adjuvant, like a coach, that makes your immune system train harder and will build up a stronger defense. However, these adjuvants can cause problems. You might also have heard about something like Asia syndrome, which is when some people might develop autoimmune diseases after they were exposed to adjuvants in vaccines. But not everyone will develop side effects, but some patients may develop autoimmune diseases or other complications that were attributed to these adjuvants. Now, how is COVID-19 different from other vaccines? When the COVID-19 vaccines came out to the market, there were 3 different types. However, 2 main types were distributed in the US. You all heard that they were mRNA vaccines, that they were produced by 2 main pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer and Moderna. mRNA vaccines will instruct your cells to make a tiny, harmless piece of the COVID-19 virus called the spike protein, so your body can learn how to fight it. Was one vaccine better than the other one? In terms of efficacy, not really. Is one vaccine worse than the other one in terms of side effects? Unfortunately, they both develop side effects, but some people say that Moderna causes more side effects compared to Pfizer vaccine, but this is still a debate. The vaccine's mandate. With the COVID-19 vaccines, one of the most difficult aspects, especially early on, was the mandate to vaccinate, which, let's be honest, many people did not feel comfortable with. And I will include myself into that. These vaccines were developed using a new mRNA technology, and at that time, we did not have long-term safety data, particularly for those people living with an autoimmune disease. And that makes it harder to give clear answers and even harder to make confident recommendations to every patient. In the beginning, there was a lot that we didn't know. It took a couple of years before we started seeing published reports and case studies describing side effects. Some were mild, some were more serious, including rare autoimmune reactions. But I have to say, long before these reports came out, I was already hearing concerns from my own patients. Many of them were deeply worried that the vaccine might have triggered a flare-up or actually worsened their autoimmune disease. Others, especially those on immunosuppressive medication, felt the opposite. They were grateful for the vaccines because it offered them a layer of protection on their immune system that could not provide that on its own. What this experience taught me is that conversation around vaccination, it's not black and white. It's not just about safe or unsafe. It's about personalized decision. It's about risk tolerance, and it's about respecting the choice of a patient while we continue to learn and adapt. But as the time went by, there were reports of side effects that emerged. We now know that severe anaphylactic reactions were reported in some patients. And because of that, the CDC recommended that all vaccination centers to be equipped with pre-filled epinephrine syringes, and that people that receive the vaccine should be observed for about 30 minutes after they receive the vaccine. There were many people that documented side effects like myocarditis, which is an inflammation of the heart, pericarditis, which is an inflammation of the lining of the heart, Some patients developed blood clots in the legs or in the lungs. Some people develop heart issues like high blood pressure or even arrhythmias. Some people develop thyroiditis, which is an inflammation of the thyroid gland. And some people develop immune thrombocytopenia, which is a blood disorder where your platelets, which are the cells that will help in the coagulation process, were destroyed by your immune system, and the big risk is severe bleeding. There were some patients that developed autoimmune hepatitis. There were patients that reported reactive arthritis or rare cases of neurological events like Bell's palsy or Guillain-Barré syndrome. But the question is, are these side effects common? Not so common, but it is important to acknowledge that they appear in some patients. And now let me tell you a story that will stay with me until this day. A patient of mine, let's call her Michelle, she was in her 50s, came to me a few months after she was getting her second COVID-19 vaccine. She was exhausted and she had palpitation, diffuse joint pain, morning stiffness. She had severe dryness in her eyes and her mouth. Her PCP ran some tests and she had a very high ANA titer, 1 to 1280, with a speckled pattern. Listening to her story, I thought that she might have an autoimmune disease. So after a few more targeted tests, in a few weeks I had the confirmation. This patient indeed had an autoimmune disease that I call Sjogren's disease. Now, did the vaccine cause her Sjogren's, or did the vaccine precipitate the onset of her autoimmune disease? It is very hard for me to say definitively, but we know that in some people, vaccine can precipitate or can exacerbate the immune system response. So maybe she may already had the predisposition or she had early signs, but the vaccine could have acted as a trigger that pushed her immune system over the edge. And that is why it's important to listen to patients. When someone tells me that they haven't felt the same since they had the vaccine or any other immune event, I listen, I investigate, I don't dismiss their experience. And that's the job of a real doctor. That's what I do every single day in my practice. But unfortunately, too many patients have been dismissed, and especially women. And I want you to know, if this has happened to you, you are not imagining things. Your symptoms are real, and you deserve a thorough evaluation. So here is the question I get almost daily. If I have an autoimmune disease, should I get the COVID-19 vaccine? Now let me break it down. In fact, if you live with an autoimmune disease, your risk of getting COVID-19 is nearly twice as high as someone without an autoimmune disease. Why is that? Because many autoimmune patients take immunosuppressive drugs like methotrexate, leflunomide, biologics, JAK inhibitors, and those will weaken your body defense. And the disease itself will increase your vulnerability to get a COVID-19 infection. And even if you go frequently in office to have medical visits, that will add to your increased risk to develop COVID-19. So that's why one reason that I propose patients to do online visits or telemedicine is because I was able to help patients stay safe, especially during the pandemic, and that avoided those crowded waiting rooms, unnecessary risk to expose yourself to someone that is sick. And even today, patients prefer telemedicine. They prefer it besides going to drive and wait in a waiting room to be seen by a specialist. But how about people over the age of 50, or those with diabetes, or high blood pressure, or heart or lung problems? In that situation, your risk of severe complications goes up even more. And now I have to tell you that patients with lupus are particularly more vulnerable. Compared to them, patients with Sjogren's or systemic sclerosis, they seem to be at a little lower risk. So the question is, should you get the vaccine? And the science says that yes, for most autoimmune patients, the benefit will outweigh the risk, because you are most likely to face more complications from COVID-19 infection rather than the COVID vaccine. But it is important, and timing matters. It is important to have that discussion with your rheumatologist. And it's important to get vaccinated when your disease is in remission. And it's also important to avoid vaccination while you are actively sick. So if you're sick, you should space 2 weeks apart from any other vaccines. And if you get another vaccine, you should space it out at least 2 weeks apart from that vaccine. And if you take rituximab, get the vaccine 1 month before your infusion and wait 6 months after the last dose. If you are using high-dose steroids or if you are taking biologics, please talk to your doctor about the right timing. And now, let me give you 5 practical tips to protect your immune system before or after the COVID vaccine. Tip number 1, take your immune supporting vitamins like vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc. Tip number 2, support your gut health with probiotic foods and many fibers, and avoid alcohol as it will disrupt your healthy bacteria. Tip number 3, prioritize your sleep because sleep helps your body recharge and repair. Tip number 4, move a little bit every day. Even a 10-minute stretch or a walk makes a difference. And tip number 5, lower your daily stress using a prayer or mindfulness or even practicing square breathing. Because these simple steps don't replace your medication, but they will support your body through vaccination and beyond. And here it is the most important part. Work with your doctor. In my practice, we personalize every decision because your autoimmune disease is unique. And now that you know the truth about COVID-19 vaccine and autoimmune diseases, here it is something that you also need to know. Can COVID-19 infection cause autoimmune diseases? Why is this important? Because if you recognize the early signs, it will save you from years of suffering, and you can find all about this in this video.